The purpose of this video is to give referees and teams a concise and clear guidelines on how games should be officiated for the coming season. There's been an agreement in all competition that games still need to be called tightly. It is important that referees maintain the integrity and honesty of the rules while taking into consideration the basic intent of the rule. Overall, the guidelines will focus on 8 key areas: protecting the ball carrier, protecting the shooter, charge block, the no charge semicircle, verticality, flopping, active shooting, and player coach behaviour. We will also touch on the current guidelines for a referee, focusing on the current FIBA directions of control, mechanics and communication. No hands on the ball carrier. The ball carrier must be allowed to bring the ball up the court without being manhandled. Fouls must be called if 2 hands are placed on the ball carrier. Fouls must also be called for defenders who place 1 hand on the ball carrier and do not remove it. Body checking, bumping, or using their knees to move a player off their line must also be called as a foul. Protecting the shooter. Any illegal contact on the shooter while in the act of shooting is a foul. Remember, referee the defence, but think like the offence. Ask yourself who caused the contact. Be careful of bailing out the shooter who initiates all the contact. If there is any doubt as to if the player is in the act of shooting, count the basket or give free throws. To clarify, a player is in the act of shooting when they gather the ball in a normal shooting motion. Charge block. Remember the 3 F's. Determine if the defender has feet on the floor, facing the opponent and in position first. Again, ask the question, who caused the contact? See the whole play and observe the point of contact. If it's down the middle and there is enough contact to warrant a call, call the charge. Move to get into a good position to observe the play. We want you to anticipate the play, but not the call. Referee the defense and think like the offense. Establish if the offensive player breaks the imaginary vertical plane of the defender. If not, and the player goes to the floor, decide it is incidental contact or consider it as a flop. As per last season, if there is an element of doubt, the call is to favour the offence, and as such a block will normally be called. This is not to be used as a cop-out by the officials. We expect good defence to be rewarded with the appropriate call or no call as required. The no charge semicircle. Remember, the purpose of the no charge semicircle rule is to not reward a defensive player who has taken a position under his own basket in order to draw a charging foul against the offensive player who is in control of the ball and is penetrating towards the basket. A player is considered to be inside the no charge semicircle when the defensive player has 1 foot or both feet in contact with the semicircle. No charge semicircle. Officials are reminded that the no charge semicircle rule only applies when the offensive player in control of the ball is airborne on an attempt to shoot or pass and is not illegally using his arms, hands, legs or body. If in doubt, officials are to consider that the defensive player is inside the circle and apply the rule as such. Verticality. A defender is allowed his space within his own cylinder from the floor to the ceiling. If a defender establishes a legal guarding position, jumps straight up with his arms not moving outside their cylinder and contact occurs, it is usually incidental, no call. Protect the shooter, but still maintain a balance between offence and defence. Do not bail the offensive player out by calling an unnecessary foul on the defence. Flopping. When a player falls down to fake a foul in order to create an unfair advantage by having a foul called unjustly on an opponent, or to create an unsportsmanlike atmosphere amongst the spectators towards the officials, in other words, embarrassing the officials, such behaviour shall be considered as unsportsmanlike. There are too many examples of contact that surprisingly results in reactions not equal to the contact. We need to judge the severity of the contact and then ask the question, does it warrant a call? Observe the entire play. Do not get sucked in by a player going to the floor, emphasising contact that they did not receive. In other words, don't fall into rewarding the players who overemphasise contact. Flopping or faking should be penalised as follows. Call the obvious flop or fake as an automatic technical foul immediately on the player. Or issue at the next appropriate opportunity an official warning to the player with the official flopping signal, ensuring the warning is communicated to both the player and the player's coach. One warning is entitled to each team. Once a warning has been communicated, any additional flopping situations shall be penalised by the technical foul. Active shooting or the continuation rule. Active shooting and continuous play needs to be a focus to ensure referees are consistent. Once an offensive player picks up the ball in his normal shooting motion, he is in the act of shooting. If he is fouled after picking up the ball and in his continuous motion he attempts to shoot a basket or successfully scores a basket, free throws must be awarded or points counted and an additional shot awarded. Remember, there is no relationship between the number of legal steps taken and the act of shooting. If there is an element of doubt as to whether the player is in the shooting motion, count the basket or award the shots. Player-coach behaviour. There is often a concern that the image of the game is being tarnished by the behaviour of players and team coaches. All officials will be instructed to make a concerted effort to decrease the tolerance levels of officials regarding reactions by players and in particular coaches towards officials' decisions. Officials are requested to adhere to the following instructions and guidelines. At no time shall a player or coach disrespectfully address, react or contact the officials and/or the table officials. A player coach is no longer allowed an objectionable initial reaction to a call which incorporates the following: any obvious or blatant verbal or non-verbal disputation of a referee's decision, any action that belittles or demeans a referee, any obvious non-verbal reactions which may incite the crowd, or any use of audible foul language or commentary on the game. Referees should not allow coaches to either enter the court or leave the team bench area except during a charge timeout to address the team, provided they remain within the vicinity of their team bench area. If they are attending to an injured player, or if they are courteously requesting a timeout or requesting statistical information from the score table. Referees should not allow any continuous questioning towards the officials or continual commentary of the game. Referees should also not allow assistant coaches or bench players rising to their feet to complain about referee decisions. Referees should not allow coaches to become the centre of attention with theatrical gestures and constant complaining. Referees are encouraged to try where possible to prevent from calling a technical foul by anticipating and reading the problem and consequently addressing the coach's behaviour before having to deal with it with a technical foul. Referees are encouraged to adopt the three-step approach. Step 1. Allow the coach to ask a question or have a polite word to you. Give the coach the respect, acknowledging you have heard their comments. Coach, I hear what you say, I will look at it. Okay, coach, you've made your point, that's it. It is so important that referees do not entirely ignore the coach, but respond and acknowledge you have heard their concern. If warranted, a quiet word is appropriate, possibly when you are at the trail official standing right in front of them. Step 2. If the coach decides to take it one step further, then a more stern, verbal, visual and formal warning is appropriate. At an appropriate time, preferably during a stoppage in play, but if necessary, stop the play and give a warning that everybody knows that a warning has been given. Say something like, "That coach, that's enough. This is your formal warning. If you continue, we will have to deal with it." At the same time, give a visual signal, a stop sign, with your hand straight out in front, along with a stern facial expression. That "do not go any further" signal lets him and everyone else know you've had enough. Step 3, if the coach continues unheeded and runs through the stop sign, there is no option, he has earned a technical foul. Instructions for referees. The referees are to control the game, focus on the basic mechanics, positioning to achieve better decision-making accuracy. We have a need to maintain the philosophy of calling the game tighter. Less management, but more control. Call the obvious plays, don't call the flies and miss the elephants. Call the first contact. Here's a good example on a clip here where the first contact wasn't called. Work to maintain consistency. The three elements of consistency: it's your individual consistency from the referee, consistency from referee to referee, and consistency from game to game. Read the game, look for signs and react. Positioning. Look after your primary coverage area. Maintain an appropriate distance from the play, remembering the closer you are, the more chance you have of losing perspective, and that often leads to an emotional call. Move to be in the right position. Be stationary, however, when you're making it a judgment. So you move, stop, observe, decide. Move to maintain an open angle. Work to be on a 45-degree angle. Lead to sprint to the baseline in a straight line while still watching the play. Once you get to the baseline, you have more time to look at the play and observe. Remember the principles when calling a foul in a double whistle situation, particularly with a charge block. Blow your whistle, raise your arm with a clenched fist. Observe and be aware of your partner. Do not commit to a foul signal. Allow the referee who is closest to the play or to whom the play is coming towards to make the call. Here we have an example of a clip where these instructions weren't followed.
Came back to him again. They still charge on one side of the court and a call of a block on the other side. It is
Signals. Use of the recommended officials and official signals and authorised FIBA signals. Make them decisive and crisp. In concluding, refereeing basketball is not an easy task. Players are athletic and the pace of the game is intense, making it difficult to control or even see everything that happens. A referee's greatest asset is consistency, which is what we should all be striving to achieve. We never stop developing. Use all of the resources available to you to help you improve. There are many parts that go to make up our great game. Refereeing is one of them.